Welcome to Made in Atlanta. I am Eric Holtzclaw, Chief Strategist at Liger. Made in Atlanta is a special series brought to you by SmallBizClub, where we focus on different small businesses and what it takes to be successful in those spaces, specifically as it relates to marketing. I'm joined today by Brad Park. He is with Applicant Starter. So Brad, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what Applicant Starter does.
Applicant Starter is, well, it's sort of got two sides of the house. We're a software, so we're recruiting software that allows a company that's hiring a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but consistently, to do so more effectively. It integrates calendar appointments, email, text messaging, just means you can be in one place and get done what you need to get done.
Okay, all right.
The other side of that, through the pandemic, as everybody got kind of displaced, we found ourselves in a lot of new industries, and we found there's a lot of people who don't know how to place an ad on a job board.
Oh, okay.
So we just started using our software for ourselves and recruiting for people. And so that's kind of the second side of the house now.
Okay.
So it's also, do you remember the old commercials about the hair club for men?
Yeah.
He's like, I liked it so much. I'm a client. I bought the company.
Yeah.
Well, we liked our software so much, we just started using it.
Yeah, okay.
And so now we just fulfilled an executive assistant position for an insurance guy up in North Carolina.
Okay.
He needed an assistant. He didn't know what to do. And he's been in recruiting in the past.
Right.
But a lot has changed in the last 5, 7, 10, 15, 30 years. So we were able to find him an assistant, book him all the appointments needed, find him an assistant within 2 weeks for probably 15% of what an RPO, classic outsourcing recruiting firm, would have charged him.
Got it. Okay. So talk to me, because this space is, I'm going to use the word crowded. There are a lot of people who do recruiting and things. So what do you do to stand out? Like, what's your special sauce?
That's a good question, because so Indeed's the big bear now in terms of the job. They don't call themselves a job board, by the way. They're a job search engine, something or other. But you got them. Monster was number one first.
Yeah.
They're not. ZipRecruiter's number one for a while. Career Builder was number one for a while. And everybody's trying to do different things. And the Indeed commercials are going crazy. And then as soon as they start, the ZipRecruiter commercials start. Because everybody's trying to get the finite amount of money that's going out there.
Yeah. Oh, so there's a finite amount of people.
Everybody's got there's a certain amount of people, so that's speed.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of money. You got a certain amount of budget to fill whatever roles you need to fill. You only have so much money to spend.
Yeah.
So it's no different than the retail world.
Okay.
They make their whole year between Thanksgiving and the end of the year. Christmas that's their whole year.
Right.
Well, they all compete. So before the pandemic, they were opening up on Thanksgiving as well, because they've got to get, if a family has $800 to spend, they want $758 of that $800.
Yeah.
And they know they're going to compete with everybody else to get it. So it's a similar thing. So there's a lot of people in the space. What makes us really different is just our expertise of our people. And we've been doing this a long time. I've been in this space in one form or another for 34 years.
Okay.
I literally used to take people on interviews, on sales calls, calling people, like going to a neighborhood and walking through from house to house selling.
Yeah.
So I went from that kind of.
Because you were mentioning that you used to even work with someone who was in the building we're in.
Yes. And we're consulting for them. Then we were doing telecommunications. And that was, we're using this building to recruit people to sell telecommunications.
Got it. Okay.
So
is it just then yours is, because that is often, a services business may be built on the Rolodex of the person who kind of helps to find it or start it. Is that the key part of it?
That didn't hurt.
It didn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt to have a couple decades under your belt when you get started.
Right. Yeah.
Applicant Starter self-selling been around for about 11 years.
Yeah.
But I've been in business for 20 plus years before that.
Have you always been on your own, or did you work with someone and then kind of go off on your own?
I got mentored along the way in the beginning.
Yeah.
The organization that I worked with, actually, that's the reason I ended up in Atlanta, because I'm originally Canadian.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, I guess I'm still Canadian. I'm originally from Canada.
You are from Canada.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I started off with the organization in Canada, and they were expanding into the U.S., and specifically they wanted a person in Atlanta because they were getting a contract with the Atlanta Hawks.
Okay.
I had experience with sports teams, so they got me to come to Atlanta, and I got here in July of '93. the hottest summer of my life. Because I'm coming from Canada where it's not hot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like where I was living in Western Canada, it doesn't get hot.
Yeah. I was talking, there was a guy who was moving to Atlanta when we kind of had our cold snap, 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he and I met up and he's like, I don't know what you guys were talking about. This is not cold at all. I'm like, oh no, we're freezing.
Yeah. I had one coat on.
Yeah.
What's the problem? Yeah.
Right.
But it's funny. I stayed here because in the fall, it became around November, there's no snow on the ground.
Yeah.
I can work with this. I mean, the winters here are fantastic. I have no complaints whatsoever.
Yeah, except those of us who are from Atlanta, we're like, oh, it's less than 70. Oh my goodness, it's so terrible.
I get it. And if you go down to Miami and it's 70 degrees, you're freezing.
Yeah.
And I've been out to California several times. You don't realize how cool it gets at night.
Yeah.
And you're in California, you think, I should be hot right now.
Right.
No, I'm freezing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I have so many coats.
Yeah.
Because I'll go someplace, I'll get cold, I'll buy a coat.
Yes, I have a very funny story about that that I'll share at some point. But So thinking about services, and most of my background in world has been in the services space, so it's been some type of thing, and so getting those original customers is typically off some type of relationship or whatever. But then, what have you done to expand beyond your regular network? Like, how do you get beyond the people who know Brad?
Right. Well, I've got my referral friends, which are always important.
Yep.
Every time we do work for the client, we tend to get a referral, and we get some sort of accolades from them because we do a good job.
Yeah.
And we do save them money, and we do help solve the problem. And other than that, we try to make sure we're in networking groups, we're known. We've optimized our website. We've done all the basic things you're supposed to do. And then it's a matter of reaching out to people and asking what they need.
You still have to talk to people?
Occasionally you have to. I have an appointment this afternoon. They want to talk.
Wow.
They're hiring coding people.
Okay.
So developers and Python. And I have to read what these things all mean. Because Python, what kind of Python? But that's the coding language.
They're not snake handlers.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
But we could do that too. We've hired for sushi companies. We can get people for anybody.
Yeah. So then talk to me about, because you have a company that needs to hire someone, but you also have to attract the people who might want to work for them. So what does that side look like?
Well, that's the sourcing side.
Yeah.
So and you have to talk to those people too. That's the other thing that differentiates us from a lot of other recruiting companies. Most recruiting companies, when they reach out to people, if they're sourcing, which is a term we use for go find people, what they'll do is they'll send LinkedIn messages or emails or what have you, but they never call and talk to the person.
Right.
So we actually reach out and talk to the people that we're looking to find for our client.
What a unique approach.
I know, right? Because even if they want somebody who's customer facing, well, we have to talk to them, make sure they can speak proper English. Because
you can't tell that from a resume?
No. When ironically, some of the terrible resumes are great people.
Yeah, yeah.
And you look at the resume, you're like, this person is unhireable. And then you talk to them like, that's a great person.
That's a great person.
You never know.
A terrible resume, yeah.
Yeah. So then you got to teach them how to write a resume. I had a friend of mine, he's putting his resume in for a position where he was going to make $1 million a year. $1 million. And he and I are talking. He's like, I said, is your resume up to date? He goes, well, almost. I'm like, it's $1 million a year. Your resume should be perfect.
Perfect. Yes.
Like, go get it. Because I guess his interview is the next day. I'm like, go get it fixed.
Right.
It's one piece of paper. It's 2020 something or other.
Yeah.
There's printers and computers everywhere. This isn't like back in the day where you have to go find somebody who can typeset it for you.
Yeah.
Which nobody knows what that means now. But one of my first jobs when I was a kid was at a print shop. So
okay. I laid out newspapers on the blue lines.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
you understand.
Yeah. But on the applicant side, so you talk to people, but sourcing them, are you going off?
There's multiple tools.
Okay.
LinkedIn's got some great tools. We have databases there, and the nice thing is people who are looking for a job are trying to be found.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
But it's typically you finding them and then having a conversation to invite them in. That's the kind of best way you've seen work on that.
Yeah, because if you wait for people to apply, you have to sift through 200 applications to find the 4 people actually read your ad.
Got it.
There's an interesting thing that happens now under the world of quick apply and whatnot with the job boards. Because we all recognize when the hiring process or looking for a job went from newspaper to online. That was pretty obvious.
Right, yeah.
But initially, when you went online, if you posted your ad, if you're a company, you're looking to hire anybody, you post your ad, you're on top, so you're the first one people see, so then people are going to call, email, whatever, your position. Well, they went into the SEO driven world where it's all keywords.
Yeah.
So now you have to write the ad in such a way it gets found. Otherwise, all the wrong people apply to your ad. Then you have what's called the quick apply. So say you're looking for a sales rep in Atlanta. So you write your ad around sales rep in Atlanta. Say I'm looking to be a sales rep in Atlanta. I punch in sales rep Atlanta. Your position pops up. Well, that's great. I apply to it. Then the pop-up comes up. There's 27 other jobs just like this. Would you like to apply to those as well? Sure, I would. Click. You used to apply to 27 companies. You haven't read their ad.
Yeah.
Now, as the company, you're going to go, well, why did these people apply?
Right.
They have no qualifications whatsoever.
It just is an auto instant thing.
It's because of the keywords.
Yeah.
All it does is follow the keywords, and they all do it.
Yeah.
This isn't this job board does it. They all do it. So the quality of applicant today is terrible. I've talked to a couple of the job boards. We guesstimate that about 18 to 20% of the people who apply to a job have actually read the ad. Most never have.
They just clicked the button.
Just click the button, apply, roll over, went back to bed. They don't have to get out of bed now.
Yeah.
Just whip out their phone, apply, go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
stay in their parents' basement and, smoke weed.
So in the world, talking about like you attracting companies, so, and then we talked a little bit about applicants and you're going out and finding them. So let's reverse the conversation a little bit. So if I am a company and I'm out trying to hire people, and I'm going to ask you about applicants in a second, but if I'm a company, what are some of the things that you either see companies either making a big mistake, and so that's why people are not applying or don't want to come to work there, or you see them doing well? Like, what's the advice that you give those employers when they're like, hey, we need you to help us hire those 5 Python people?
Yeah. Well, we just tell them to hire us, but that's the obvious answer.
But is that enough?
No. So the biggest mistake I see people make, which is if you don't realize it's keyword driven, it's an easy mistake to make. But use very common keywords, very common terms. So every company has their own culture, their own vibe.
Yeah.
So like one of the big things now is, we don't have salespeople, we have customer success manager.
Right.
Okay, great. Put that in, because nobody ever puts in a job search customer success manager.
Yeah.
But they put that because that's the title of the role.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. You're just not going to get found.
Yeah.
And you want to get found. So use real common terms that you got to reverse the script a little bit. You have to put in the keywords in the SEO into the ad that you think the person you want to hire will put in the search bar.
Right.
And the way SEO works, which obviously, but not everybody else does, you want to do the phrases that you want most likely to be found to be in the ad, even if it's not grammatically correct at least 5 times. You have a better chance of being found that way, or those keywords showing up just because they're there.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's what all the websites are reading is the resume.
So if I'm looking for a job, that makes a lot of sense. But then as it relates to the way that the company is presenting themselves, does that get in the way for you? Like, do you ever have problems with, people finding bad reviews or the way that the brand shows up? Like, how important is that in that?
We don't have that problem because when somebody comes to us to say, I want to hire people, we do our own research first because it's not hard to find.
Yeah.
If you go over to Glassdoor and say, okay, this company's terrible.
Yeah. So you don't want to take a deal that's going to be really hard for you to.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like if I go to Glassdoor and there's just a ton of complaints and it's all about the culture, I don't want to work for that company.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they're just going to go in there. There's a reason people are leaving and saying bad things. So, and I'm not talking about a bad review. I'm talking about, wow, this looks bad.
Yeah, yeah.
If you go to their website and it's terrible, or if they have a web page, like everybody these days, like especially if you're hiring somebody in their 20s, they're pretty sad. They've had internet since birth.
Yeah.
They don't know what
it's not known it.
No.
Yes, right.
What do you mean you bought a book?
Right. Or a magazine.
Yeah. Why would you do that?
Yeah, right.
$1.99 subscription forever. But the people today, they do research. They don't just take a job.
Yeah.
They want to know who they're working with and who they're working for, and if they stand for something or if they don't. They have some sort of message.
Yeah.
And corporate culture is a big buzzword these days. People want to go, if possible, go to a place they want to work.
Yeah. Okay. So looking at that, and I like the idea because you have the option of either working with those companies or not, because you're going to be less successful on your side. It's kind of the way we qualify an ideal client when they come to us. So yeah.
Exactly. Like if we take somebody we're not going to do a good job for them, and they're not going to like us.
Yeah.
Why bother?
Yeah, we have marketing. We don't take marketing emergencies.
Right.
So somebody goes in like, we're having an emergency in marketing. I'm like, there's no such thing. You should have planned this out. You knew it was going to, like, you didn't accidentally say tomorrow we're going to launch a product. That just doesn't happen. So we should have come back in time and done all the right things and thought about it. Okay.
Like, the last client we brought on, again, it was an insurance company in North Carolina. It was a Friday. I'm talking to him. He's like, okay, I'm ready to go. It's like, all right, well, here's the process. No, not Monday.
Yeah.
We haven't even sourced anybody for you. We haven't talked to anybody. We'll start like researching and make sure. And then the following week, you'll have people to talk to, but not a fire.
Yeah.
Like, because that makes us crazy. You want to be crazy. We don't want you to be crazy. We're not going to be crazy. Yeah. Nice and smooth.
Yeah. Yeah.
No surprises. Only birthdays and Christmas.
Okay, so that's kind of company side. So I like the idea of making sure that your job descriptions are, people can find them, that you're using common words, because we all do like our fun little words. But
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, it's like, you're looking for a person who does this thing. And making sure presence is good, those types of things. Now on the applicant side, you talked a little bit about an updated resume. Are there other things that the applicants need to start paying attention to, or mistakes you see them make, like the mortgage guy who says don't go buy a car while you're trying to buy the house? Like, you're like, please, applicant, don't do the following.
Well, same on their side. The keywords are important. They have to put in the keywords that a recruiter will find them. So there's different levels of recruiting. There's, I just want to hire some people. There's mid-management, etc. There's higher end, and then there's headhunters. Yeah. Well, all these people who, if they are sourcing, if you're in a more professional role or you're looking for a more professional role, odds are you're going to be found by a recruiter. If they can't find you, they're not going to.
You don't exist.
No.
Yeah.
And it's no different than any SEO situation. Now, if you want to figure out how to do it, and I've used this, ChatGPT, this AI thing's weird.
Yeah.
And it's getting weirder.
Right. It's just going to get weirder.
By the minute. Oh, yeah. Sidebar, a few years ago, my son asked me if The Walking Dead could ever happen.
Yeah.
I said, biologically, I don't think so. I said, but Terminator, totally. I think we're going to go to war with machines for sure. But it's just getting weirder and weirder. But you can literally use Chat GPT to help write give it your resume and say SEO this, so I'd be more likely to be found, or whatever you want to just say to it, and it'll do it for you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It'll rewrite your resume and it'll be better.
Nice.
Now, you got to read it after that because it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Not yet. We're not taking over yet. But it does a really good job. I've used it to write a job requisition, write a contract. Mm-hmm. And I write through it. I'm like, that's good stuff.
I like it when you take a contract and say, tell me what this actually means. It's written in lawyerese, and you're like, hey, and it'll be, this is basically what it's saying. It's like,
because it's insane.
Yeah.
Because it knows every language.
Right.
It can do dialects and everything. It's insane.
Well, I'm seeing it, interestingly, is it's a good researcher and creator, but you then have to curate. So if you don't do the right things on the curation side, then people can tell and they can sniff it out. Tell me too about so how much do your employers spend time researching people when you're in that process? How important is my social media presence? And do you suggest that people are putting stuff out on their own website? What are those kind of things tie into
for the candidate?
Yeah. If the employer, now the candidate has kind of made it through the process. Are those kind of where's the factor of what the candidate is putting out there that's important to the company?
Their social media is critically important.
Yeah.
So there's people who have some pretty out there social media comments and posts and party pictures and whatnot, which is great. Have a good time. But employer, if you're looking for a role at any level, especially 6 figures or above, before an employer hires you, they're going to look at your social media.
Yeah. And
there's public pages and whatnot, and they'll find you. And that's going to come into play. It used to be what we would do, dating myself again, is we would listen. So this is post-home phone. Everybody's got a cell phone, but not quite social media yet.
Yeah.
You'd always want to listen to a person's voicemail. Because if somebody's got some goofy, crazy voicemail, and then, hit the digits at the beep or something, whatever, you're like, okay, next.
Yeah. And that's what's an interesting, I talk about this with, specifically, I call it the Shark Tank effect. So in Shark Tank, you see a bunch of investors competing to invest in a person, which is not how the world works.
No.
The person is the company, what is trying to say no. They're spending their entire time saying, I want to say no to this. And so how can you make sure that you don't make it easy for them to say no along the way? And that's something that we aren't taught necessarily through some of the reality TV that we see.
Part of what employers have to learn is how to interview too, what to look for.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes the best part of that person is on their resume and in their interview, and then you get the real person after that.
Well, that's the sales. You talked about sales jobs earlier. One guy I talked to was like, you don't want the best sales job they ever did was selling them on you,
yes.
right?
The only sale they ever make is you.
Right.
Yeah, and they did a great job. Now
they can't sell the product.
And they're so hard to get rid of once they're in.
100%. And so you have a lot of experience, put it that way, a lot of experience. And so you've done service businesses. If you were sitting across the table from someone who's maybe new, so I've been doing this for someone else for a long time. I want to break out on my own. Like, this is tired of doing it for someone else. I want to be my own person in kind of a services space. What would be some of your advice to that person?
I would make notes. I would write down all the things that you're good at and write down all the things that you're not sure of.
Okay.
And then I'd write down all the things that you think you might be able to get good at. And then I'd get people I trust to read those things, because you'll go through, you have to have somebody and you got to make it safe for them.
Yeah.
It's okay, Eric, here's my list. This is what I think I'm good at. You tell me that I'm wrong or where I'm wrong, because there's going to be spots there that you're wrong. People fail in business because of what they think they know, but they don't actually know.
Interesting.
They just happen to have it wrong.
Yeah.
That's the blind spot. You think you got it, and boy, you don't.
Give me an example of one of those things that someone might think they're good at. But
Sales.
Sales, okay, yeah.
Some people think they're good at sales.
Yeah.
Perfect example. Me in the 90s. I had teams doing outside sales, selling for Bell South. Now, keep in mind, at this time, there'd never been any contracts. Communications had just been deregulated. So for the first time ever, we're going into small businesses going, hey, I'd like to talk to you about your phone bill.
Right.
I can lower it.
Yeah.
No contract, no problem, no competition. Nobody's ever done it. Selling like crazy. We thought we were brilliant. Well, things calmed down after a while, but then the internet came out.
Yeah.
Well, now we're selling internet. We're still brilliant. Well, then DSL came out. Now we're even more brilliant, because you got dial-up. Most people don't even know what dial-up is anymore. But yeah, dial-up, it's slow, it's terrible. You can't be on the phone. If somebody calls in, you get knocked off. The pictures downloading is like...
Right, yeah.
So then 6.0 DSL and then 12.0, and like, wow, you want twice as... Sure, I want twice as fast. Of course I do. And then you get into fiber and everything else. Well, eventually it's all contracts and competition and everything else. So we thought as an organization, we were so good at sales. We just had the easiest thing to sell ever.
Right.
So then we got better over time, but we had to get better or we were going to die.
Yeah, because you ended up with other people in the space. Yeah, selling against them.
Everybody's doing it now.
Yeah, and that is such an important part of it, because service people may be very good at doing a service. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm a great accountant, or I'm really good at law, or whatever. And the hat they have to wear, that's a very new hat for them, is that prospecting. Like, how do I get out there? How do I find those new people? Bring in that next deal.
Absolutely. And some people have the mindset. You got to bring in people who know what to do that you don't know how to do, but you got to bring in the right people. Yeah. And you got to know how to qualify them at least. If you don't understand how to do it, or maybe you don't even want to do it.
Right.
Like, if you just say, okay, Brad, you're in your mid-50s, go out and start cold calling again. I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
So I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
I'd rather find somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
Because that's just not in my wheelhouse anymore. I'm just too far down the road. And if you're 22, have at it.
Yeah.
So you need somebody to fill the roles that you either aren't good at or you don't want to do.
Nice. Good advice. So in our last few minutes, what's some things that you see sort of future for the business you're in? Because, it's an interesting space as technology gets applied and things like that.
It is, and we're working on our technology still. So literally there's two sides of the house. One of the things we're integrating, as much as I'm fearful of it, is AI.
Yeah.
Because you have to. And I think it's going to be an integral part of the candidate sourcing process, because we can literally tell it, go find me this person, and it'll go find them. Now, does that person actively looking for work? We don't know. Let's go talk to them.
Yeah.
They may not actively be looking for work, but want a different job. Who doesn't want to take a 20% raise?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
So I think that'll be important. The biggest thing is the economy is continuing to move forward at a pace that I'm baffled. I mean, I don't get it.
Right.
I'm thankful.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It
Right.
doesn't seem to be following the basic economic rules that I read in school where this is the way it works.
Right.
Like, not anymore, because there's been a lot of variables, a lot of changes.
Oh, yeah.
You can do more with less.
100%.
You know, like people
That's
are,
that 2008 disruption with smartphones, social media. Now we've had another disruption. So, and what does that mean? And
well, it's no different. Like, we want to think we can tell the future, but remember your math teacher said you're not going to walk around with a calculator in your pocket. Like, really?
Right.
Honey?
I've got more than a calculator now. Yeah.
I had a better computer than put the man in the moon.
Yeah.
Whether you think it was in a Hollywood basement or not.
Yeah.
It's still a better computer.
Yeah.
No matter which you believe, still a better computer.
Nice. Well, good. Well, it's kind of fun to see the change, and I appreciate you coming and talking to us about it.
My pleasure. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to Made in Atlanta. I'm Eric Holtzcott, Chief Strategist at Liger. Made in Atlanta is brought to you by SmallBizClub. We spoke today with Brad Park from Applicant Starter about what it means to take a professional services business to market. Until next time, thanks for tuning in.